Hey guys, I'm Mark from A Positive Spot and welcome to Game Week 18 of the Premier League Review. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and all that stuff, but if you are new to the series, what we do is we take a look at the past set of Premier League results, we then take a look at the Premier League table, and we finish off by looking at the top goal scorers. So here is the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Monday the 26th, Tuesday the 27th, and Wednesday the 28th of December. I'm going to start to say that because the first episode of 2017 is going to be a weird one. But anyway, next to the games are their times in this video. If you want to hear about a specific game, just go to the time next to the game and you will skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. And we start with Liverpool versus Stoke. Stoke were on the back foot for most of the opening quarter of the match, so it would shock almost everyone when they went ahead in the 15th minute. It came when Eric Peters put a ball into the box, and on the end of it was John Walters, who headed past Mignolet, who couldn't get a strong enough hand. And the childhood Everton fan Walters milked the moment and celebrated right in front of the Kop. But Liverpool would equalise 20 minutes later through Adam Lallana. It came when Sadio Mane's attempted cross is blocked by the former Liverpool man Glenn Johnson. He can't quite control the ball, and in came Lallana to take the ball and finished from a tight angle. And Liverpool would take the lead on the stroke of half time when James Milner found Roberto Firmino in the box, and the Brazilian was given all the time in the world to turn, and his shot hits the far post, then the near post, and then trickles across the line. And Liverpool would get their third goal when Divock Origi worked his way into some space on the left wing, and he sent a low cross into the box, and it was Stoke player Gianelli Mbula who got the last touch as he was trying to get the ball away from goal. It was either he tried to get it out or the incoming Sadio Mane would score, and unfortunately for him, he sent the ball into the bottom corner of his own net. And in the 70th minute, Liverpool would put the game to bed when they got their fourth, and Daniel Sturridge got his first Premier League goal this season. It came when Ryan Shawcross attempted to play a pass back to his own keeper, but he didn't look up before doing so, and Sturridge showed the striker's instinct to get onto the ball, make his way past Lee Grant, and tapped into the empty net. And that is how the game would end, and I'm really happy with this result. Liverpool were not playing at their best at all in this game, but we still managed to get 4 goals, which goes to show the strength we have going forward. And with this result, Liverpool stay second and Stoke have dropped a place down to 13th. And we move on to Southampton versus Tottenham. The game didn't take long to liven up, as in the second minute of the match, Southampton took the lead through their centre-back, Virgil van Dijk. It came when the former Southampton man Victor Wanyama gave away a free kick in a dangerous position. James Ward-Prowse whipped the ball in from the free kick, and the Dutch defender rose higher than everyone else and heads home in the far corner. But the lead wouldn't last that long, as 15 minutes later, Tottenham scored to level up the scoring. It came when Moussa Sissoko plays a cross in on the left-hand side. That cross took a huge deflection off of Nathan Redmond, and the deflection wrong-foots almost the entirety of the Southampton box, except for Dele Alli, who leaped higher than his man to head the ball home. And Tottenham would go ahead in the game 5 minutes into the second half when Harry Kane got on the score sheet. It came when Christian Eriksen plays a corner at the near post, and on hand was Harry Kane, who lost his man to thump the ball home with a header. 3 goals in this match, 3 headers. There's a pattern here. And 3 minutes later, Spurs would have the perfect chance to double their lead when they were given a penalty. It came when Dele Alli was apparently brought down in the box by Nathan Redmond, and I think that ref Mike Dean sent him off because Redmond was the last man and it was a goal scoring opportunity. But the new rules in the FA state that the last defender will no longer be sent off if it's a deliberate foul. It just doesn't make sense. I'm confused. I'm not sure whether it was meant, but the penalty was given anyway, and it didn't even matter because Harry Kane stepped up to take it and he skied it. They couldn't double their lead from the penalty spot, but it didn't matter, as in the 85th minute they were able to double their lead through their substitute Son Heung-min. It came when Christian Eriksen played a ball to Son in his own half, and he made his way to the Southampton box on the counter-attack and put the ball past Fraser Forster. And Spurs would put the game beyond any doubt only 2 minutes later when Dele Alli got his second of the game. It came when Danny Rose worked his way into some space in the middle of the Southampton half. He then laid it off to Ali, who takes a few touches in the Southampton box before stroking it into the corner. And that is how the game would end. Tottenham deserved winners in the end, but who knows, if Southampton still had 11 men on the pitch, perhaps it could have been different, but that's a what if moment. But with this result, Tottenham stay 5th and Southampton stay 8th, and this is the first time in Premier League history that Southampton have conceded 4 goals at St Mary's Stadium. And we move on to Chelsea versus Bournemouth. Chelsea went into this game knowing that a win would keep them a minimum of 6 points clear at the top of the table and would make them record breakers for Chelsea FC. If they won on Monday, then they would have won 12 games in a row and broke the record of 11 games that they matched last week. And they were looking to break that record without their striker Diego Costa and their midfield tank N'Golo Kante. But not having their striker wouldn't bother them, as in the 23rd minute they took the lead through Pedro. It came when Eden Hazard and Cesc Fabregas combined on the edge of the Bournemouth box, and they find Pedro, who takes a shot despite having defenders all around him. The ball takes a little deflection off of one of the defenders and it loops into the top corner. And Chelsea would have the perfect opportunity to double their lead 4 minutes into the second half when they won a penalty. It came when Eden Hazard ran at Bournemouth defender Simon Francis, who stuck out a leg, and the referee pointed to the spot. The man who won the penalty also stepped up to take it, as Eden Hazard sent Artur Boruc the wrong way and calmly rolled it into the opposite corner. And when the game was already won in the 93rd minute, Chelsea would add one last cherry on the cake. Do you get it? Because Bournemouth's nickname is the Cherries. Anyway, moving on. Pedro ran at the Bournemouth defence and takes a shot that took a massive deflection, and the ball went into the back of the net. And because of the massive deflection, Pedro was denied his second of the game, and it was marked down as a Steve Cook own goal. But I mean, if Pedro asks, I'm sure Steve will give him the goal as like a belated Christmas present. And that is how the game would end. Chelsea continue their winning streak, and they could now be considered the best Chelsea team ever, winning 12 games in a row for the first time in Chelsea's history. That's got to count for something. And they deservedly won this game as well. Bournemouth were well beaten, and Chelsea are still at least 6 points clear at the top of the table, depending on the other results. And we move on to Swansea versus West Ham. West Ham took the lead in this one 12 minutes into the match through their summer signing Andre Ayew. It came straight after Swansea wasted a great chance down the other end. Then they come forward and Cheku Kyoto puts the ball into the box, and Andy Carroll does what Andy Carroll does best and gets his head on the ball, but Lucas Fabianski gathers the ball and Swansea were able to clear their lines. Is what I should be saying, but Lucas Fabianski somehow manages to fluff it and parries the ball into the path of Andre Ayew, and he taps in his first goal for West Ham. And West Ham would double their lead 5 minutes into the second half through their big centre-back Winston Reid. It came from a corner for West Ham, swung in by Dimitri Payet, and Winston Reid powers the header past Lucas Fabianski. And West Ham would put the game to bed in the 77th minute when they added their third, and Mikel Antonio got on the score sheet. It came when Fernandez cut inside his man, leaving him flat on his arse, and he cut the ball back to Nordveit, who takes a shot. The shot was going wide until it took a deflection off of Antonio and into the back of the net. But Swansea would add a consolation goal in the 88th minute when Fernando Llorente scored. It came when Nathan Dyer got round his man and found Llorente in the box, who fired home high past Darren Randolph. But less than a minute later, Swansea would go from scoring to conceding when West Ham got their fourth. It came when West Ham substitute Sofiane Feghouli works his way down the right hand side and floats the ball into the box. And I'll give you one guess who got to the ball. Yes, Andy Carroll, but not with his head. He actually volleyed it. So, you know, he's an all-round aerial threat. And that's how the game would end. Swansea are in dire need of some results right now. I can't see them staying in the Premier League. You heard it here first. 29th of December, Premier League review, week 18. Mark said that Swansea are going down. I'll put money on that. And we move on to Hull versus Manchester City. You wouldn't believe this, but in this game, Hull at times were on top of their opponents. You'd think that this game was a local derby because Hull were giving Man City all that they could handle, and at times you'd wonder how Hull weren't ahead in the game. But the first goal would go the other way in the 72nd minute when Manchester City converted from the penalty spot. It came when Andy Robertson clumsily lunged at Raheem Sterling trying to get the ball, and rightfully so the referee pointed to the spot. Yaya Toure stepped up to take it, and with a stutter in his run-up, he sends the goalkeeper left and he places the ball right. And how about this for a stat? Yaya Toure has took 10 penalties for Manchester City, and he has scored every single one of them. And 5 minutes later, Manchester City would double their lead, and it was their young prodigy Kelechi Iheanacho who got the goal. It came when Kevin De Bruyne found David Silva on the right hand side of the box, and he crosses the ball low, and on the end of it was Iheanacho who converted for his 6th goal of the season. And Manchester City would add one last nail in Hull's coffin in the 93rd minute when they got their third through a Curtis Davies own goal. It came when Yaya Toure played a brilliant ball to Raheem Sterling, who then darted down the left wing. He then put a ball into the box, and Curtis Davies couldn't do anything about it as he poked the ball into his own net. And that was the last kick of the game. The scoreline was very harsh on Hull. Manchester City weren't playing at their best, but that is the talent that Manchester City possess. Even when they are playing at their best, they can still put 3 past you. And we move on to Manchester United versus Sunderland. United took the lead 39 minutes into the match, and Danny Blind was the unlikely goal scorer. It came when Zlatan Ibrahimovic managed to pick out Blind in a box full of Sunderland shirts. Blind took a touch to set himself and put the ball back across the goal and into the far corner. And United would wrap up the point in the 82nd minute, and this time it was an obvious goal scorer in Zlatan Ibrahimovic. It came when Sunderland player Didier Ndong gives the ball to Paul Pogba, who then found Ibra in the box, who was able to slot home. United United would just be adding to the misery when in the 86th minute, Henrik Mkhitaryan got on the score sheet, and oh my god, what a goal this was. Zlatan Ibrahimovic crossed the ball into the middle where Mkhitaryan was on hand to scorpion kick the ball. He bloody scorpion kicked it. Fucking hell. Mkhitaryan is the one thing about United that I like. It's a shame that he was offside, but you know what? I'll give you that. I don't care if he's offside. He just fucking scored a scorpion kick. I'll give him it. I don't care if he's offside. He can have it. He can have it. But Sunderland got a consolation goal in the 90th minute when Fabio Borini got on the score sheet. And this one was a brilliant goal as well, as the Italian found the net from outside of the box with a curler into the top corner. It's a shame that this goal meant nothing, because this was class. And that's how the game would end. 4 wins in a row now for United, and they are slowly edging themselves back into the top 5. But obviously the highlight of this game was Mkhitaryan's goal. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Pause this video. Actually, don't. Watch this first, just so I know, and then you can go watch that, alright? Nice one. And we move on to Leicester versus Everton. This game had a boring first half with really nothing happening, but 5 minutes into the second half, Everton took the lead through Kevin Mirallas, displaying a perfect example of defence to attack when Everton keeper Joel Robles boots the ball forward over Leicester's back line. Mirallas let the ball drop over his shoulder and got between Wes Morgan and Marcin Vasilevskiu and got the ball underneath Kasper Schmeichel and into the back of the net. And Everton would put the game to bed in the 91st minute when they doubled their lead through another Belgian in Romelu Lukaku. It came when another ball is booted upfield, this time from Ross Barkley. Lukaku is too strong for the Leicester defence and burst into the box and put the ball low into the corner for 2. And that's how the game would end. The Belgian duo of Kevin Mirallas and Romelu Lukaku were able to secure Everton's first away win since September when they won 3-0 at Sunderland. And we move on to Burnley versus Middlesbrough. Jesus Christ, what a boring game. The only bit of action came in the 81st minute, and it came for Burnley. It came when Burnley keeper Tom Heaton booted the ball forward and Sam Vokes then flicked the ball on, and Andre Gray was on hand to smash the shot from about 20 yards out. The shot was decent, but it was there for Victor Valdez to save, but he somehow managed to spill it into the net, and Burnley went 1-0 up. And that's how the game would end. A scrappy goal to split a scrappy game, but I don't think Burnley will care. They are slowly but surely creeping their way towards safety. And we move on to Arsenal versus West Brom. Another boring game again, but this one Arsenal were dominating, but they couldn't find their way through until the 86th minute when their big French striker Olivier Giroud got on the score sheet. It came when Mesut Ozil put a cross into the box and Giroud was on hand to loop the header past Ben Foster. And that's how the game would end. Arsenal deserved the winners as they had 80% possession and about 15 shots on goal. It gives them a much needed win after their losses recently. And finally, we've got Watford versus Crystal Palace. What did I say last week? I can't see Alan Pardew lasting much longer, and I can't see Alan Pardew surviving for much longer. 2 days later, yes, 2 days later, Alan Pardew sacked at Crystal Palace. Now, I'm not saying I'm a genius. It just made sense considering that they are the worst team in England. I'm not making that up. They are. In 2016, they have the least amount of points than any other team in the top 4 English leagues. Championship, League 1, League 2. Forget the conferences, they don't count. But Pardew was sacked and Sam Allardyce was in for his first management job after being sacked from the England job after just 1 match under controversial circumstances. But his new team got off to the perfect start as in the 26th minute, Crystal Palace went 1-0 up through Johan Cabaye. It came when Andros Townsend played the ball through to Cabaye, who was on hand to put the ball into the net. And Palace would have the perfect opportunity to double their lead in the 37th minute when they were given a penalty. It came when the ball was out wide in the Watford box, Benteke got the ball and Aurelio Gomez took out Benteke and the penalty is given. Benteke stepped up to take it, but his penalty is trash and it was easily saved by Gomez and the game continued 1-0 to Palace. And would you believe it, in a horrible twist of fate, Watford would equalise in the 71st minute from the penalty spot. It came when Damien Delaney was penalised for pulling Sebastian Prodl back at a Watford corner. Troy Deeney stepped up to take it for his 100th goal for Watford. The poor bloke's been stuck on 99 goals since October, but it was his time as he put the ball down the middle and he became the 5th player to score 100 goals for Watford. And that's how the game would end. Palace will feel hard done by here, as for the majority of the game Watford were poor and they really should have been 2-0 up if Benteke knew how to take a penalty. But this put Palace 17th and took Watford up 2 places to 10th. Right, so that's all the games I've got for you this time. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers, starting off with the Premier League table. Starting with the top 5, and as you can see, Chelsea are still top after setting a new club record of 12 Premier League wins in a row after beating Bournemouth. Liverpool are still second after beating Stoke. Manchester City are third after beating Hull. Arsenal are fourth after they just beat West Brom, and Tottenham are fifth after dispatching Southampton. Moving on to the bottom 5, and as you can see, Hull are bottom of the Premier League after another loss this week against Manchester City. Swansea are 19th after losing to West Ham, and after this loss, they've actually sacked their manager Bob Bradley after only being manager for about 80 days. Sunderland are 18th after being beat by Manchester United. Crystal Palace are 17th following their draw with Watford, and the current champions Leicester make up the bottom 5 after being beat by Everton. Moving on to the top goal scorers, and as you can see, Diego Costa is still on top despite not scoring this week due to suspension. Also not scoring this week was second place Alexis Sanchez. However, someone that did score this week was Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who boosted his tally to 12. Romelu Lukaku also scored this week, and that took his tally into double figures. And Sergio Aguero makes up the top 5, and he can actually get back into goal scoring ways next week as his suspension is up for the game against Liverpool on New Year's Eve. Right, so that's all I've got for you this time. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back on Tuesday, the 2nd of January, for the next episode of the Premier League review. So yeah, that's the last episode until the new year, so happy new year, people. I hope 2017 is a great year for you all, but if you want to make 2017 a good year for me, you could follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my personal YouTube channel. The links to both are in the description, or my channel should be popping onto your screen round about now. But like I said, happy new year. I'll see you in 2017. I've been Mark from A Portion of Sport, and I'll see you soon.